Welcome to Lesson 4, Multiplying and Dividing Mixed Numbers. This is the last of the sets of operations we're going to do right now for fractions. We will come back to doing exponents and other operations with fractions a little bit later on in the unit. Okay, so when you're multiplying and dividing mixed numbers, you convert them back to improper fractions. So convert to improper fractions. Okay. Then you multiply and divide them like normal. Now this is the first time we're seeing multiplying and dividing fractions, so let's do a quick review of how to multiply and divide your average everyday proper fraction. So if we have 1 over 2, and we're going to multiply that by 3 over 5, okay? When you multiply fractions, you multiply the top and you multiply the bottom. So 3 times 1 is 3, 2 times 5 is 10. When you're dividing fractions, it's very similar. We'll use the same example. What we're going to do is we're going to take this second fraction, we're going to flip it, okay, and then we're just going to multiply. So we're going to have 1 over 2 times 5 over 3. See how that one is the inverse, okay? And then it's going to be 1 times 5 is 5, 2 times 3 is 6. So those are two examples of multiplying and dividing fractions. Now, when you get to an improper fraction, the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to convert it. When you get to a mixed number, you're going to convert it to an improper fraction. Now, we've practiced this a couple times, so let's go through this quickly. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. So 2 2/3 is actually 8 over 3. We're going to multiply that by 1 1/2. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. So 3 over 2 is the same as 1 1/2. Now we're going to multiply. We've got two different ways of solving this, so I'm going to go through both ways for you. So 8 times 3 is 24. 3 times 2 is 6. Are we done? No, because it has to be in lowest form. And 24 and 6 have something in common. I can divide 24 by 6, and I'm going to get 4. Okay, so let's think about this. Let's take a look up here. Is there a way we can make that easier where we don't have to simplify it at the end? And what you want to notice is you want to notice this 3 and this 3. You'll notice that they're above and below the division lines. When they're above and below the division lines, we can do something called cancellation, okay? So we can cancel those 3's. We can divide 3 by 3. Okay, that's going to become 1. That's going to become 1. And what we're going to end up with is 8 over 2, and 8 over 2 is 4. Note that these are the exact same answer. Okay? So if you run into a situation where you have a cancellation opportunity, you should take it. Always cancel whenever possible. It makes your answer much simpler in the end. But if you don't see the cancellation opportunity, then you can proceed through multiplying like normal, and you'll get the correct answer. You'll just have to simplify it. So it's just one extra step. So don't worry if you don't see these relationships. They will either appear or not, and you can always go the long way. Okay? In case anyone else is noticing, there's actually 2 more in here. Okay? I can get another color. I can divide both of these by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And what I have here is 4 times 1 over 1 times 1 equals 4. You'll see there's even one extra cancellation in there that I didn't see right away. So don't worry if you don't see the cancellations. They can make your life easier, but they don't make your life impossible if you don't find them, okay? So that's multiplying. Always convert back to the improper fraction first. If you don't, you'll never get the correct answer. In addition to subtraction, there's some wiggle room. In multiplication and division, there is none. Okay, so let's scroll down and take a look at the division question that I've given you here. Now remember, the very first stage is to convert to the improper fraction. So let's get our blue pen back. Okay, and I'm going to start this down here. I'm not going to use that one. So 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15 over 4, because you always keep the same denominator. We're going to divide that by something over 6. 6 is our denominator. 1 times 6 is 6, plus 5 is 11. So I've got 11 over 6. And then we have to invert and multiply. Now remember, you only invert the second fraction. Never the first fraction, always the second fraction. Okay? And then what we're going to do is just multiply like normal. So I'm just going to continue my equal sign up here. 15, 11, there's no relationship there. 6 and 4 there is. So I'm going to perform a little bit of cancellation here. Oh, that's not the right color. And I'm going to divide both of these by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. This is going to make my life a little bit easier, because 15 times 3 is 45, and 2 times 11 is 22. So those are a bit smaller numbers to work with than trying to figure out what 15 times 6 is and 4 times 11 and then simplify from there. I'm going to use the smallest numbers possible to give myself the best chance of not making a small error and losing a mark I don't have to. Okay? So I'm going to convert this back to a mixed number, because we need to practice that, because that's going to happen on all of our assessments. So how many 22s can I fit into 45? So 1 22 is 22. 2 22s is 44. So I can fit 2 22s into 45. 2 22s is 44. So how many do I have left over? I have 1 22nd left over. 2 whole numbers and 1 22nd left over. Okay? Now remember, if the question's a word problem, you must go through this conversion. Or if there's an instruction on your assessment that says express all answers as mixed numbers if possible.